Yeah. Okay, so this is part two, man. What we're talking about the agile perspective. So we talked about the change scope and how basically agile perspective is perceived. And I want you to please keep in mind that everything that's going to happen that they're going to talk about is basically they're going to be discussing how the whole essence of the agile perspective is a consistent flow and build. So something new happens, it just comes in and it gets filtered by the team and it gets included or just distilled or thrown away, right? And basically business analysts are kind of connecting the engineers and whoever that is and the operations and whoever's on the team depending on the project. And so now we're talking about the approaches and techniques. So when it comes to approaches, agile is an umbrella term for a variety of approaches. All agile, I'm sure they're going to talk about Scrum here as well. But a few explicit define the business analysis role. The primary characteristic of any agile approach is its alignment to the values and principles of the Agile Manifesto. Think about it this way. If you take an avocado seed, it doesn't matter where you plant it, it's going to come out as an avocado. Why? Because at the core, it's an avocado seed. It cannot come out as a mango. It can't. And the idea behind that is, I trust you. You know what we are, what we represent as a company. You know how the company would actually work with its clients, how it would work with its market. You know what would work. I would trust that you would be able to know how that would work and how that would actually do good, right? So I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna give you any information you want, and I'm gonna leave you to, as fast as possible, do your research, do anything you can in order for you to kind of build it. So that's basically where alignment to values and principles of the company, of the Agile Manifesto, of the whole concept behind don't worry about it. We're gonna we're gonna move, we're gonna update you, we're gonna document, we're gonna really everything is just going to be moving with all the pieces in place or with all the pieces dynamically interacting until finally we have the product. An agile team may implement or evolve to use a combination of approaches which enables them to deliver value more effectively given their project type and work environment. So, now what are the agile approaches? Well, crystal clear, which is basically part of the family of the crystal methodology, which are defined based on the hardness and color. The hardness refers to the business critically or potentially for causing them harm, which amounts to more rigor and predictive planning being required as the criticality increases. Color references or heaviness of the project across the number of dimensions, including number of required and risk elements in the project. All right, when I saw crystal clear, I imagined it to be kind of transparency oriented, but it seems like crystal clear is something that comes from hardness and and color. So it refers to the business critically or potentially for causing harm, which amounts to more rigor and predictive planning. So if something's crystal clear, that means it kind of it's a lot more predictive than it is here because they mention it earlier here. When it comes to the business analysis, it's adaptive more than predictive. So I feel like with crystal clear, we're more predictive then, yeah? The other one is disciplined agile delivery, DAD. Decision process framework, which incorporates ideas from a variety of other agile approaches. It's intended to support a project from initiation through delivery. It's not a representative and allows for teams to customize their own life cycles and approaches. It's not prescriptive, so it's not prescribed. Allows the team to kind of do their own thing. There's dynamic systems development method, a project delivery framework which focuses on fixing cost quality at the beginning while contingency is managed. So it seems like every single one of these systems is kind of weighed by another system, or it leans somewhere more than the other. So here, evolutionary project management develops a delivering a system incrementally, right? So strong focus on quantifying value for multiple stakeholders and planning. increments, planning increments based on delivery value. Well, dynamic systems method is more Moscow prioritization technique is used for scope management. Isn't Moscow the same as what? If I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, I think we mentioned them in a video. I think Moscow is like, whatever. Extreme programming, named for the concept of taking beneficial software engineering techniques to the extreme. This concept focuses on technical development process and features pair programming. So it seems to be a bit more towards the software part. Pair programming is when two people basically sit with each other, one codes and the other one just watches. And the idea is, as somebody is coding, the other person is kind of like focusing on what they're doing and learning from that, and then formulating their own opinions, so that by the time comes, they split. The other person continues the work, and the other person, and basically like adjusts what they think needs to be adjusted, and kind of like, right, like they're building on top of each other's work. Feature-driven development focuses on client value functionality perspective, because like we're building a feature for the client, so the goal is that feature. It's not necessarily basically like the efficiency, effectiveness of like how we're building it. The Kanban method does not require fixed iterations. Work moves through the development process as a continuous flow of activity. A key feature is to limit the amount of work underway at any one time, referred to as work in progress. The team works only on fixed number of items in any one time, and work may begin when the item is finished. So you set something that you're gonna be doing, you do it. That's the whole thing, right? And if you finish one, you move to the next. That's basically the Kanban method, or that seems to be the Kanban method. Scaled Agile framework is a framework for implementing Agile practices at enterprise scale. It highlights the individual roles, teams, activities, and artifacts necessary to scale from the team to program to the enterprise level. Scrum, I told you, a lightweight process management framework based on empirical process control. Work is performed in a series of fixed-length iterations called sprints, which last 1 month or less. At the end of each sprint, the team must produce working software. We're working on software. But Scrum is basically like, all right, maybe when I explained the Agile methodology, I was thinking a lot more as Scrum on different angles, but now that we see there are different pieces of it, here we go. Yeah, Scrum is like everyone decides, they sit together, they decide what they're gonna do, and they kind of like go for it. It's interesting, like, the different weights that they put, right? Because like some things are more data oriented, some approaches are more fixed, and it makes sense because depending on the product that you're building, you kind of have to consider these kinds of things. Fuck yeah. The following table lists techniques commonly used with Agile approaches. Refer to the Agile extension or to the BABOK. Fuck off. For more detail, the following tables list techniques commonly used. What are the techniques? Behavioral-driven development, an approach that enhances the communication between stakeholders and team members by expressing product needs in concrete examples. Kano analysis, a technique for understanding which product features will help drive customer satisfaction. Lightweight documentation, a principle that governs all documentation processed in an Agile project. Lightweight documentation, that means basically like you document, but you don't really document. The purpose is to ensure that all documentation is intended to fulfill the impending need, has clear value for stakeholders. It's one of those where you kind of like document what you're doing and you're moving forward with it. And when the time kind of like, when you finish the project, you take the time to dive into the details. Moscow is a method to prioritize stories or other elements, incremental and iterative approaches. Moscow must have, should have, could have, won't have, provides a way to reach a common understanding on relative importance or delivering a story or other piece of value in the product. Personas, fictional characters, we do that with experiences, we talked about them. To exemplify the way that typical users interact with the product. There are planning workshops, a collaborative workshop, we talked about those as well, there's a video around them. Purpose alignment model, a model that's used for access ideas in the context of the customer value. There are real options, an approach to help people know when to make decisions rather than how. Relative estimation, team estimation techniques using user story points which represent relative complexity of a user story to develop. Retrospective, a similar term for the lesson learned technique. Retrospective focuses on continuous improvement of the teamwork process and are held after every iteration on agile projects. There's also basically like story decomposition, which ensures requirements for the product are represented in appropriate level and detail and are derived from a valuable business objective. Story decomposition, I think deconstruction is what we're talking about. Like, imagine how the client will actually use this feature, and while doing that, you kind of like build it accordingly. There's story mapping, which provides a visual and physical view of the sequence of activities to be supported by a solution. There's storyboarding, which is detailed visually and textually. You kind of like draw moves from here to here and this and that. There's value stream mapping, provides a complete fact-based time series representation of the stream of activities required to deliver a product or service to the customers. Now, underlying competence, all of these we talked about them, by the way. On chapters 10, there's a fucking ton, basically 50 points. All of them are techniques and tools that you can use, right? That's chapter 10. So underlying competencies in the Agile is a mindset. Agile business analysts embody the values and principles of the Agile Manifesto, which are based on a humanistic view of product development as a process founded in communication and collaboration. In adopting, check the extension, the BABOK guide, blah, blah, blah. We have it here somewhere, right? Again, like whoever wants the fucking book, let me know. The business analyst develops competencies in communication and collaboration, patience and tolerance, flexibility and adaptability, ability to handle change, ability to recognize business value, and the ability to understand how changes and continuous improvement. We've been talking about these for 12 chapters, but I'm going to read them. Like the ability to communicate and sponsor vision needs, assist in influencing other people's, support the vision, participate and possibly facilitate negotiations of priorities and facilitate collaborative agreements and solution outcomes. Our patience and tolerance, the ability to maintain self-control under pressure and keep the flexibility and adaptability, cross-functional skill sets, of course, ability to handle change, the ability to quickly assess the impact of change and determine what provides business value most frequently, changing requirements and assisting with or maintaining the prioritization of the to-do work list. Ability to recognize business value is the ability to understand how changes the new features can achieve business value and support the vision. And periodically review the Agile team on how to become more effective, that's continuous improvement. And what is the impact on knowledge areas? This section explains how specific business analysis practices within the Agile are mapped to business analysis tasks and practiced as defined by the BABOK guide. It also describes how each knowledge area is applied or modified with Agile discipline. So each knowledge area listing techniques relevant to the Agile perspective, go to the guide, are found in the techniques in the guide. Agile extension techniques are in the guide. This is not intended to be an exhaustive list of techniques. This is basically telling us about the things that could be exhaustive, whatever it is. But so, like in Agile approaches, detailed business analysis planning can be deferred until work and the activity is ready to begin rather than done upfront as in predictive projects. An initial plan for business analysis activities is developed at the beginning of the project. The plan then gets updated prior to the start of each cycle. So what happens is basically you kind of like sit together and you kind of like go, okay, from now till like 3-4 days, we're filling in the blanks, and then after that we go to work. And then when we work, we build what we build, and then we sit together and we combine them, and then after we combine them, we kind of like sit, we reflect, and when that happens, we have to decide what we're going to do next, and that's the end of the first A cycle, right? The plan gets updated prior to the start of each cycle to account for change and to ensure what the plan is always up to date. Again, like, maybe you could build and design cycles in different ways, but who the fuck cares? Like, ultimately, like, it's kind of like everything is kind of like similar, right? Everything has like standardizations, especially here, because like right now what we're doing, we're kind of like discussing, like every perspective has a change scope, a business analysis scope, an approaches technique, an underlying competencies, and an impact on the knowledge. So communication is commonly much less formal because like we're all doing the same thing. What are the techniques? Backlog management, which we did basically in page 220. Backlog management is chapter 10. I talked about this, right? Sorry, my bad. Go back here. Collaborative games, prioritization, scope modeling, estimation, stakeholder list. All of these are chapters that I already talked about them. Extension techniques are lightweight documentation, mass scope prioritization, personas, relative estimations. Like we did personas in chapter 10. I think it was like 1040 or 1048 or something. Yeah, no, we did user stories. We didn't do personas. User stories are user enters and does this, but the persona is who the user is. Like an old mom came in, or basically a young mother. All of these are different characteristics. We have elicitation and collaboration. Progressive elicitation and collaboration occur throughout an agile initiative. The most common pattern is an initial elicitation activity that establishes the high-level vision and scope of the solution, and the initial milestone-based plan on the delivery and the product. We also have these techniques for them: acceptance, backlog management, performing, and there's the techniques as well for elicitation and collaboration that we have. Look at that, wow. There's a requirements life cycle as well, which is part of business analysis. One do the requirements life cycle management is managing the requirements that are necessary and realizing when we're done with those or when we have to keep going with them. As agile initiatives unfold, the scope is defined with increasing specificity. The expectation that is needed will change, and the design will evolve over the course of the project. Prioritization of features based on value and development. Priority drives the work done in each cycle. Validation of the evolving solution with the stakeholder occurs at the end of every iteration in place, and formal requirements approval process. As well, techniques and guides, acceptance criteria, prioritization, reviews, workshops. There are 50 techniques that are just written here. I'm sure there are a fuck ton more because people are nerdy. And the goal is not for you to not for us to memorize which technique works with what. You choose the techniques you want to use based on what the fuck you're doing. Like with strategy analysis, for example, you probably want to know, okay, if I'm building a strategy, who's the user that's going to use it? So a persona kicks in, right? What did we agree the Kano analysis was? Let's Google it. Kano analysis. All right. Kano analysis is a tool used to understand customer satisfaction by category. Can you see it? I don't like it. And then Kano analysis is a tool used to understand customer satisfaction by categorizing product features based on how they impact customer emotion. It classifies features into 5 categories, including must-be, performance, and attractive features, helping business prioritize development efforts effectively. The Kano model is a theory for product development and is customer satisfaction by Noriaki Kano. The model provides a framework for is Japanese. Noriaki, sorry, Kano. Of a product and service impact customer satisfaction, allowing organizations, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's what they talk. Let's see this. What the fuck now, man. All right, so do we need this? So the 5 emotional response types, that's the Kano analysis. Must be, performance features, attractive features, indifferent features, and reverse features. By doing those, what we do is we measure the customer satisfaction and then we move from there. Yeah, not bad, right? All right, back to this. So yeah, strategy analysis, agile approaches are often used when there is uncertainty about the needs, the solution, and the scope of the change. Strategy analysis is a constant part of agile. I can't tell you what the customer will want. So basically, we kind of go okay, there's a customer that we want more satisfied, or there's a market we want to target. And that's where agile methodology works. Why? Because it's kind of running back and forth. It's creating these shipments, right? And I say ship because a ship goes from port to port, and it its entire purpose is to do stuff in between and to figure out the best route and the best trading goods, the best people to connect with, And that's basically what a business analyst is, right? Like it's back and forth. Agile team members use strategy analysis to help understand and define product vision and develop and adjust the development roadmap in addition to conducting ongoing assessments of related risks. For every iteration, the proposed solution is reassessed against the current business context to ensure that it will effectively meet the business goals. Blah, blah, blah. It's adaptive. Requirement analysis and design definition needs are progressively elaborated during an agile project. Needs are progressively elaborated during an agile project. Analysis and design are performed on a just-in-time basis, either just before or during the iteration of which the solution component will be developed. Analysis performed just before the iteration is to provide a team with enough information to estimate the planned work. Analysis performed during the iteration is to provide the team with enough information to construct or deliver. So like you need analysis to see which direction you have to go, and you need analysis in the direction to see which actions to take, right? Models and the other analysis and design techniques are typically used informally and may not be maintained once they have served their purposes, right? Because like you're doing something for now, you probably won't use it later. And the analysis and design approach should support progressive elaboration and adaptability to change based on learning and not cause the team to select solutions prematurely, blah, 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 blah. And here we go. Now, solutions evaluation through an agile project, and as well, like all the things, acceptance evaluation criteria, business capability analysis, collaborative games, and functional requirements. Like all of these are basically the techniques that you could be using while you're doing that. And I feel the last one is solution, or the second to last one. Oh, this last one. The last one is solution evaluation. Throughout the Agile project, the stakeholder of the Agile team continually assesses and evaluates the development solution. Like I said, we meet to decide what we're going to do. Then we kind of like decide, when we decide what we're going to do, everyone kind of gets their role on what they have to do, and then they go and they start doing it. And when they finish and they're doing it, they kind of come to each other and they see what they build and they assess where it's going, and then a cycle finishes. And as they do that, they kind of like revisit the solution, revisit what's going on, and they kind of like over and over and over and over test if this is something valid or not. It's incrementally built and refined. Evaluation of the evolving solution with the stakeholder occurs at the end of every development cycle to ensure the deliverable meets their needs and satisfies their explanations. The business analyst ensures that the product meets expectations before a product is released and identifies new opportunities that will add value to the business, naturally. And these are the tools that you can use with it. As always, man, fucking tell me that you want the book, and woo! We did 11.1, which is the Agile, I'm excited for this, the business intelligence perspective. Because like, we really tend to miss how much information the business builds over time, and how beneficial it is for you to kind of like, it's the same way you're thinking, the business is also growing and there's knowledge around it. So it comes with intelligence, it comes with techniques and strategies that become the baseline of the business's approach. So I think that's very important. Love you.